Welcome, Nitish. And, there couldn't have been a better start to bwgamingworld.com and the BW Gaming World Summit than having you as the keynote speaker. You have been the pioneer in the gaming industry. You have done an IPO, which has been received extremely well. And you continue to build the gaming sector and Nazara. Right now, they seem to be synonymous with each other. So let me start by asking you, we've put your session as the decade of the gaming. This decade is going to be the decade of gaming. I'm sure Nazara and you believe in it. Give us a sense, why will this be the decade of gaming?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Bhatta. First of all, you and your team are always very kind to us. So thank you for that. But I think what we have seen in the last decade happen, right, are three very important macro factor changes, which are really spearheading the tailwinds and making this the decade of gaming in India. The first one is the advent of smartphone penetration in the country at a low cost. When we started this business in 2000, the biggest challenge was there was no gaming devices in the hands of the consumers. And now the Android phones, 4,000-5,000 rupee phones that are in the market and in each and everybody's hand, they're actually extremely good gaming devices, right? They can double down as fantastic gaming devices. They've got touch screens, they've got good sound, they've got good processors, good memory, good data capability. And this is a dream come true. Imagine hundreds of millions of Indians having a gaming device in their hand, right? Which is great. I think that's one big factor. The second is India's data costs are now the lowest or among the lowest in the world. At the same time, the speeds are improving. What they were a decade ago, it's much, much better now. And I think that combination of good speeds and very low cost data is seeing data consumption completely go through the roof. And the third, which has happened, especially after demonetization, right, is that the evolution of digital payment ecosystem in India has really enhanced, also with the government support on UPI, etc. We as Nazara work in many emerging markets, and India is far ahead of the curve when it comes to digital payments. Now, when you put all these three factors together, there's a huge multiplication of value that is happening, and market potential that is happening, that is driving not only the gaming business but many other businesses that you're seeing booming in India, right, on the tech side, whether it's e-commerce, whether it is fintech, etc. And I think that's really what we are in the midst of now. That coupled with a large nation of which is large youth driven nation, demographics are skewed towards the youth, a large entertainment hungry nation, I think leads to a huge potential for gaming. It's something we had a dream of. When I started this company in 98, 99 in college, the big question I had in my mind was, why is India not a big gaming country? I would even then read about China or about Korea, etc. And I felt that why is India not a big gaming country? Set up the company then. But I did not realize that, these assets that I just spoke about were really needed for it to happen. 20 years later, we're at a point where it has all happened, and the real opportunity starts today, right? And that's why after being in this business for 20 years, I really feel that even the market opportunity for Nazara today is just getting started, and the opportunity for gaming is just getting started.
Thank you, Nitish, for giving that holistic view in terms of what are the factors that act as a catalyst in gaming and are needed for the gaming to get to the next level, and they exist today in ample measure. And you rightly said that the gaming industry in a lot of ways is growing because of the support ecosystem. You talked about the fintech ecosystem, the micropayments ecosystem, where we are second to none in the world. We are leading in every way. Now, let me ask you, if you had to look at gaming over the next decade, what are some of the trends that you see becoming bigger and bigger that you can spot as green shoots right now, but over the next few years, they're likely to become very big?
You see, one thing that has been in my mind for many years actually is the impact of virtual reality on gaming. And it's been like an mirage, right? We always feel virtual reality will be, big for gaming, will change the world of gaming, but it's really not happened. It's really not been there. And that's something that's still very much in my mind. I just recently went and bought a VR device, the Oculus 2, because again I wanted to revisit in terms of how far this technology has enhanced, and when it is. I personally believe that virtual reality will completely change the world of gaming compared to what it is today in the next 5 years. And this is how technology works, right? uh, Till it's not happening, and then when it happens, it suddenly happens and takes over. And that's what I think will happen in the world of VR. Even if you saw the recent comments of Mark Zuckerberg on the Facebook earnings call, he spoke about the metaverse, and that's the direction they're going into, right? So I think I'm a strong proponent, or a strong believer that VR is going to have a huge impact on how we game, and that's one big trend. The other very interesting emerging trend is this whole NFT on blockchains, which also could have a tangentially impact on gaming. We are also exploring how can that impact some of our businesses. But I think the NFT space, the smart contracts can have a lot of impact on gaming. So a lot of things happening, a lot of new opportunities coming, a lot of models getting disrupted. So very exciting times.
Thank you so much. Nitish, let me ask you, when it comes to Nazara, over the next 12 to 15 months, I know you're a listed company. I know you will need to do this in a structured manner, but within the rules of the game, what should we expect from Nazara over the 12 to 15 months horizon? We saw immediately after the IPO, you're doing another acquisition outside India. So clearly, you believe that acquisition is the right way forward, and international markets for Nazara will play an important role. Give us a sense of where is Nazara headed?
Yeah, sure. So India remains a very core strategic home market for us, and our foundation lies over here. That said, Nazara has over many, many years operated in many different geographies, and we think of ourselves as a global gaming player out of India rather than a India only gaming player. I think India is a fantastic place to prove your product and then take it, into many other markets, whether it's emerging markets or also global markets. In recent years, some of the ventures we forayed into also took us into advanced markets like the American market, where significant portions of our revenues are coming today from there. So we are a very well diversified gaming platform out of India, with India as a core strategic market for us. In terms of the acquisition strategy, we are building a Friends of Nazara ecosystem that has been very successful for us over the last 4 to 5 years. It has brought in a lot of learnings along the way for us as well as our partners. And we believe that that is a much faster way for us to grow than start new businesses, new greenfield businesses in that sense. And therefore, it's a strategy that's working for us, and we will continue to double down on it.
Again, the gaming sector, as I said in my opening address, has many sectors and subsectors in it. It has interface with lots of. Gaming is today changing education. It is changing learning. It is interfacing with fintech. It is interfacing with, of course, sports. It is interfacing with entertainment. Tell us, what are the sectors that you see that have not been touched by gaming yet, but are likely to get impacted in the future?
I think health is one big opportunity. Health and fitness. It has already entered. I mean, you see in the US, etc. We are seeing a lot of success stories now, on that. But I think gamification and engagement for fitness and health is going to be one direction that's going to get bigger and bigger. Besides, of course, I think education also, there's a lot more to be done. We think gamification and gaming is a great medium to deliver learning, especially at younger segments. We've seen great success with our own product Kidopia that does exactly that. And I'm very, very bullish about gaming in learning and gaming in health, besides potentially other sectors.
gaming in health, and clearly post-pandemic, individuals focus on their own health, their own immunity, on their fitness is gone, and clearly you spotted the right trend. Now the connected devices are growing.
Yeah.
Mobile phones are growing, but we are spending more and more time at homes. The notion of smart homes was distant to some people. Homes are really becoming smart. Devices are getting connected. In this connected reality, tell us the average time spent by a gamer in India is how much, and in future, what are the likely trends in terms of the gaming activities and gaming time spent by a user?
Yeah, I think average time today spent would be an hour or upwards of that. My expectation is across devices. But I think whether for good or bad, the reality is we are moving towards a significant increase in the time spent on gaming in the years to come, especially as multiplayer gaming, socially connected gaming increases. The attachment to do this beyond just a snacky time pass or 5 minutes killer will significantly increase. Like I said, as more metaverses get created and users get into them, their engagement will be there. So I think you are going to see a lot more increase in the time spent in gaming. We are still not at a stage where it is at a level which is unhealthy. At some point of time down in the future, I think some of the time will also have to be moderated. But I think we are still far away from that.
Okay, while we're discussing gaming and the economy, and you brought in an IPO, and let me ask you a little larger question. And it is a season of the IPOs. The IPOs are literally raining, and it's heavy rain, so to say, right? It's raining IPOs. There's an IPO boom. Of course, the stock market is exuberant.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt that these consumer tech startups have tremendous future and are creating value.
Yes.
But Nitish, what I want to ask you is about the valuations of these startups.
Yeah.
What is your view?
Well, I may have a biased view. So
I understand you've done an IPO.
Yeah.
And of course, the Nazara IPO, for all the right reasons, has been super successful. And last time you corrected me on the number of times it was subscribed. So I clearly remember that now. But I understand. But give us a sense of, I'm talking of a general comment. I'm not asking you to comment on Nazara or specifically any other script. But why do you see there is so much exuberance about consumer tech startups and big investors like Mr. Junjunwala, the investor in your company?
Yeah.
And he clearly believes in what you are doing in the sector. Yeah. But he's from the latest IPO, without naming it, he's clearly said that it doesn't make sense and I will stay away. Not that it has deterred anyone from participating in it and making it a huge success. So what's your sense? I'm sure you think about these things.
No, I think you're seeing a disruptive change in trend, right? I think the country going digital with 1 billion users, and for the 3 macro factors that I spoke about earlier, is opening up a completely new world. And a lot of these IPOs and companies are establishing brands and business models and moats that are going to play into the very much future, I would say 20, 25, 30 years down the line, right? So I think a lot of the valuation is discounting a huge amount or going quite far into the future and looking how these companies can perform. These companies have tangible businesses. They are growing very fast. Of course, a lot of them are burning a lot of capital. So I think some of these will emerge as very large successes, right? If you go back to the dot-com boom in 99, 2000, you had Amazon, for example, right? Amazon was a huge success at one point in the dot-com boom, had crazy valuations. Post dot-com boom, it had a huge collapse, right? With 90% of its value eroded. But then look, 20 years later, where Amazon is. So some businesses will emerge like that. Now, of course, the reality is, along with potentially great businesses, monopolies, successes, there will also be a lot of businesses that may not have the right strategy. They may, party alongside this whole boom that is happening. And that is for each investor to discern what they think is the right company, the right business model, and bet on. So I think it's difficult to generalize. I think some companies would look very expensive today, but 10 years down the line would be very cheap. Some companies would be very expensive today and maybe a complete loss for investors. So I think a lot of diligence is required by investors today rather than just going along with the momentum.
Absolutely. And clearly, Amazon example is a great example. The only thing I'd say in Amazon case, there was a visible path to profitability. In some of these startups, at least for now, you cannot see that path to profitability. But you're right; it's about factoring the future now. It's about buying into that future now. And clearly, we're in this for the long term, and so are the investors. Let me ask you my last question on gaming and let you go. Again, in gaming, as I said, there are sectors and subsectors. There are niches and super niches. The real money gaming is another sector that has blossomed.
Yes.
Right. And there are regulatory challenges on that because in some cases it borders on being, not being on the right side of the law.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, as a person, as a leader who's in the gaming sector, what is your view on the real money gaming sector?
Yeah, sure. I think the real money gaming sector has by far, dominated the gaming revenues in India in the last several years, and in a way has been a gateway to bring in a lot of new consumers into the gaming space in general. I think in India, the general view, the general law really is about skill versus luck, right? That if games predominantly require skill, then real money gaming is okay. And if they are predominantly luck based, then it falls into the gambling laws, right? And I think that's been debated at many court levels, etc. So obviously, I will not comment on that. Some states in India have also taken a view and passed ordinances saying that whether a game is of skill or luck, we will not permit it. And that's each state's call in our country. Each state decides that law. So that business is in a flux. What I really think is the call of the day is to have a lot more regulatory clarity. What tends to happen right now, I feel, is on the flip side, is that wherever this law is unclear or unregulated or also banned by states, right? A lot of this business doesn't stop, or this consumer traction doesn't stop. It goes underground to players who may not be really above the board, which is at a cost to the government. It is cost to the consumer and cost to the companies that are trying to do it in the right manner. So I think I would call for much stronger regulations in this space, which will put in a lot more clarity. We, for example, as Nazara, have been very cautious in our approach to this business because of unclarity and because of our positioning as a public listed company. But if there was a lot more regulatory clarity, we would probably invest a lot more in that business.
Thank you so much. Nitish, you rightly said, because it's a new sector, it's an emerging sector, and it is kind of overflowing into many sectors because it impacts, we talked about how it impacts healthcare, it impacts education and learning, it impacts entertainment, it impacts sports, it impacts fintech. Clearly, there are some gray areas, and policy clarity and policy consistency is key to the growth of any sector, and growth needs investments. So the more the clarity, the more the investment. So I'm sure the government of India understands that and is committed to making sure, while it protects the rights of the consumers, of the citizens, also to make sure that the right sectors grow in the right manner in India. I'm sure there'll be more and more clarity on the roles and the rules in this sector. So I'm sure the next decade will be a decade of gaming, and I'm sure Nazara and you will play a big role in making it the decade of gaming. We wish you luck in your leadership role